please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. I said, in this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. You make this parade a mere charade if you're marching just for fun. Our troops must feel your thanks for real before the marching is done. They know side by side you can match their stride to the drum beat and the brass, but they're not impressed with you unless you can match their stride in class. This may not sound too diplomatic, but I cannot be more emphatic as I tell you, it's problematic when you do less than your best. Especially when it's because you put your brilliance on pause for the mere peer applause it draws from a so-called friend doing less. Quit playing, I'm saying, you know that you are great, and we know it, so show it. Don't make our heroes wait. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make us proud, your nation in appreciation says thanks to you out loud. Your schoolmates should imitate the way you tap your potential. Let me try to convince them why their effort is essential. Our men and women in uniform, before, during, and after Desert Storm, always perform above the norm, anywhere and everywhere on the planet. They need to follow our heroes' lead, but they cannot lead if they cannot read. Allow me, please, to plant this seed. Don't take freedom for granted. I'm serious, I'm furious to see U.S. schools behind. Remove the clatter, it's just a matter of our making up our minds. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. We believe in you, warriors protect you to do what you must to rise. Please do your part. Please start before another warrior dies. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. They sacrifice for you. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. Please.
Good afternoon and welcome to Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, the academic patriotism program that is dedicated to veterans and serious secondary scholars. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now here is our host, civilian urban educator, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much, DeQuay Wilson. And before we get into some notes I brought for today's program, let me offer condolences in 3 cases. My good brother Mike Hughes suffered the passing of his son Craig Hughes, and the Call paper and perhaps other venues as well have enjoyed the photography work of Jerry Lockett for decades, and he passed away, and journalist and radio broadcaster M.C. Richardson. Condolences to those families, and with appreciation for all that they have contributed, not only to their families, but to this society. Today, DeQuay Wilson, February 14th. Now, therefore, allow me to start with Happy Valentine's Day to Wonderful Wanda. Deepest love. And I said that I had some notes with me today. Please allow me to associate love with Black history. When I speak publicly about my love for my wife, I am actually speaking not only about romantic love,
but seriously about God's love. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. tried as long ago as 1957 to help us make the association between love and civil rights. In a speech in 1957, the Reverend Dr. King spoke about agape love. And even for those who were mistreating us. He said he wasn't talking about eros love, the romantic kind. He wasn't talking about philia, the friendly kind. He said, I love you because you love me. That's the friendly kind. But the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1957 was speaking of agape, God's love, even for haters. So that what I'm attempting to do is make an association between love and even the civil rights movement. This speaks to me very personally. If you look up the speech, you will see where someone challenged Dr. King about loving even someone who bombed your house. It's really personal for me today from that line, because in a recent case, as recent as Wednesday evening of this week, just February 11th, Brother Alvin Brooks introduced a group of us to one of Central High School's Little Rock Nine. Now, this is back to 1957, and her name is Carlotta Walls Lanier, who, because of enrolling at that high school, was in her home when it was bombed. 1960. She had attended Central until graduation. She was and is a hero. The story is even more personal to me, not just personal because we had the opportunity, the privilege, the honor to meet her February 11th, but I want to talk about the fact that it's personal to me, but in a much less heroic way. And I don't think I have shared the story often. But in 1955, in Chicago, Illinois, I was to be the first black student to enroll at Harper High School on the southwest side of Chicago. I was 13 years old. And when I went to enroll at Harper High School, 13 years old, I was stoned. And not only did they throw stones and sticks, I talk about it being the time of Pepsi before plastic. They threw bottles at me. Now, our program deals with veterans. It deals with the association between education and veterans service, as well as those who are currently serving. So when I ran back home, my brother had returned home from the United States Marine Corps December 8th, 1955. He had been fighting for the United States of America in Korea. And when he saw me looking a little disheveled and uncomfortable, he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, they threw at me. They tried to attack me." My brother and I went back. He had sent some walking canes home from South Korea as gifts for his siblings, and you could turn them into pool sticks, very heavy canes. We went back to the school, and we were going to fight about 60 white males at the time. And it was embarrassing. Again, I'm no hero. We ended up having to run back to the house where we lived. And I mentioned the association of agape love and the the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King answering the question about a house being bombed. As it turns out, it's personal for me because we lived in a house that was bombed. Why did I say in a much less heroic way? They actually bombed Carlotta Walls Lanier home when the family lived there. The house in which we lived had been bombed before we moved because the white family who dared to sell to blacks was bombed. And so, as I think about that, think about black history, the association with communication. Interestingly enough, 2005, 50 years after the house that we lived in had been bombed and I had been attacked, this is a true story, I was at a conference over which I presided about at-risk students in Arizona, and 4 white female teachers came to me after my presentation and told me that they had been at Harper High School when I was attacked there. And as it turned out, a group of a dozen or so black students did go to the school the year after they attacked me. So let me just say in no uncertain terms that when I talk about heroism, I can certainly place black history in the context of heroism when I have the privilege of meeting in person somebody like this person who was one of the Little Rock Nine at Central High School. So yes, happy Valentine's Day. Yes, it is about black history. So why is what is personal to me at all about this program? Waive Your Grades is a program that pays tribute to veterans and attempts to encourage students to do the same thing but through their excellence. Personal. I served in Vietnam as well. But when I, quote, served in Vietnam's, I sang in Vietnam. And this is a photo I don't know how well we're able to see. But there are 5 of us in this photo. All 5 of us taught school. So the title of our group was the Teachers Edition. And in 1971, we sang during wartime. But I was no hero. What we sang was for entertainment. What we saw was heroic for all times. We were in Vietnam, and we had the occasion to have to board some helicopters rather quickly because of incoming fire and that kind of thing. But we were there for 2.5 weeks. They were there for 13 months, TDY. We were protected because we were civilians. They had to protect us because they were military. And when I think about this program and what we are attempting to do and those we want to pay tribute to, Sister DeQuay, I think about something that happened in Dayton, Ohio, when my uncle had passed away and we had gone to Dayton for his funeral. And as it turned out, some of those present were from Kansas City and had served together in various wars. And we had some really interesting conversations, and I was mesmerized because, again, we didn't do anything heroic. We were there singing. But when I heard these stories, I thought, wow, I think that our students need to be aware of some of what these gentlemen, and by the way, ladies, had gone through. And DeQuay, when we returned to Kansas City, and you were kind enough to join me on another station, and we were doing the program, I invited some of those gentlemen who shared their stories at my uncle's services in Dayton, Ohio, when we came back to Arizona, and there were at least a couple, perhaps a few, who said they couldn't do it. They could not talk about it. They could not relive what we talked casually about in my uncle's dining room in Dayton, Ohio. But when I think about heroism, this is quite serious. And so it is that this part of Waive Your Grades, and from now on, we've talked about it in board meetings, we are going to make an effort to be a lot more dynamic about who is introduced and how they are introduced. We think about J.R. Bruce, one of the Buffalo Soldiers. He and I had a conversation, and he's going to come back on the program sometime next month or this year, maybe sooner. But he was the one who introduced us to the member of the 6888 Corps. And when I talked to Sidney Malone, who was the former commander of District 149 American Legion, and introducing Lincoln students to Wayne Minor and his history, that kind of thing, black history, and the veterans. I think about the Tuskegee Airmen, Buffalo Soldiers. I think about Diane Charity, female, who was discharged, a heart sergeant, she referred to it, as you will recall. But even as she said it in a light way, it will be interesting to us, and I honestly believe very stimulating, very motivating to students to have the whole story in a serious vein, because Diane Charity is not only a veteran, but she's also an educator, and that gives us an opportunity to put it together in that way. And by the way, one of the reasons that this program, I think, is important is because we are associating those things that we do with education. In this case, with history. But one of the things that I think is important as it relates to how we project the ideas, how we project the phenomena that bring us together, is February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. February, Black History Month. I think that it is absolutely important that we realize that while it is, quote, our history, unquote, it is not just black history. It is history. And again, when I think about the association of history and its multi-faith, multi-ethnic background, I think about a personal story, and you can let me know whether or not I have told this story before and or whether or not you remember it, because it is the story. I'm almost sure I did. But it is the story about Dick Gregory in Chicago, Illinois. What in the world does that have to do with Waive Your Grades and military respect? It has to do with it because at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois, we were actually demonstrating against the Vietnam War. And Sister DeQuay Wilson, it is difficult to make the proper distinction between demonstrating against the war but not demonstrating against the warriors. And so it is, they had to come back to a climate that was not welcoming and worse. And one of the reasons that I talk about the multicultural environment, if you were, and once again it being personal but not heroic, interestingly enough, we were at Grant Park, Chicago, Illinois. And in Grant Park, we were demonstrating while the Democratic National Convention was going on at a place called the International Amphitheater in Chicago, Illinois. Dick Gregory was leading the march, we were following. And the deputy chief of police of Chicago, Illinois, accosted our leader, Dick Gregory, and threatened him and said, "Mr. Gregory, this is an unlawful assembly. If you do not disperse immediately, we will begin to effect arrests." Dick Gregory looked at the deputy chief of police and said, "Yes, sir." The police officer walked back down the hill where we were in Grant Park, and when he walked away, Dick Gregory said something like, "Are we ready?" Meaning, are we ready to march? After this warning, of course, we were all gung-ho. Yes, we're going to march. We were on Michigan Avenue. And as we walked down Michigan Avenue once again, the deputy chief of police stopped us. Now, it was a little more vociferous and said to Dick Gregory, "I told you that this is an unlawful assembly, and if you do not disperse immediately, we will take you to jail." Dick Gregory looked over his shoulder. There were a couple of thousand, several thousand, to be honest, in that line on Michigan Avenue. And he looked over his shoulder and he said, "Unlawful assembly? I just called my wife and told her I was bringing some friends home for dinner. She's waiting for us." I don't have to ask you to guess what the response was from law enforcers. But we did end up running down Michigan Avenue in the opposite direction. And so it was that I tell that because I introduced it by saying that we are not simply celebrating Black history. As a matter of fact, if you remember what you have seen while you were too young to be there about demonstrating against the Vietnam War, it was definitely a multi-faith, multicultural assembly. And when I told the story at the Urban Summit or somewhere, I forgot where I was, the person who spoke up, who happened to be there at the same time that I was Reverend Sam Mann. And one of the things that it helped me to do is to keep in mind that we must celebrate our history, but we must not neglect to make sure that we place history within the context of the diaspora, going beyond my neighborhood, going beyond my skin color, going beyond my faith. It is absolutely imperative that here we are in 2026, February 2026, and we have a term using the initials DEI, and we're talking about diversity. And if we are going to talk about diversity, we're going to talk about the truth. We don't have to make up something that is tailor-made so that students will only learn Black history. No, we've done enough so that it's just not about Black people. Not only that, we've done enough so that it doesn't only impact Black people. So my thank you, my appreciation to Louis George Walker here at KUAW.org, he being the founder, to have the opportunity to help students to understand how universal what we do is and how important it is for all of them to go beyond a single community, a single ethnic group. And therefore, we must say, in this time, as a matter of fact, it happens to be true that there are people who are in powerful positions, not some people just who are talking in their parlors and looking at a game and making up some stories, but people who are actual legislators, people who are in powerful positions, people who make decisions, people who impact the Department of Education, who have made the determination that they're going to change some history books by helping what has been black history that tells the truth about what we have gone to more innocent for those who have put us not only in slavery, but Jim Crow, but Reconstruction, but civil rights, so that if that is changed, our children will not be ashamed of the country of which we are a part. Now, therefore, that's why what we are doing is important not only from one ethnic group's perception, but to understand that we are a part of a greater universe. And so it is, here it is, February 2026, and we can talk about actual agape love that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talked about in 1957, not only because it is still relevant, but because it's still necessary. How do we, in fact, help not only those who lead our young people to tell the truth, but how can we help our young people to embrace it in a way that will help them create a better society? DeQuay Wilson, it is unfair to our young people for us to leave them the mess that we create when we are not respectful to each other. And I think about the strength of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to have the audacity in a black audience to say that we must practice agape love at a time when indeed the Little Rock Nine were being attacked in Little Rock, Arkansas at Central High School. So it brings me to what I have done before, and before we go to break, I will take us to break with a reminder of our multi-faith poem. And you have heard me say that in 1995, I wrote it when Wanda and I were on our way to prison to visit. And it was because we were going to see inmates of all different faiths. So Wanda drove. We were going to Mobley Correctional Center. And while she drove, I wrote. And what the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was pointing us to, I think about how this may indeed be relevant during Black History Month, even on Valentine's Day, when I finish the words, as I prayerfully will recall them, then we will go to the break. But the poem is called Required to Love. I am required to love you. But it goes this way. When I came shouting, praise the Lord, Buddha cried, please do. Allah smiled and Yahweh said, we praise in our ways too. Assalamu alaikum, peace, shalom, nam myoho renge kyo. You love one God or witness two. I believe in the holy trio. You're not required to believe as I, but I am required to love you. Your faith is different, I know not why. I'm not above you. Our natives honor Mother Earth, the land, the sky, the water. We all are one, the great tribes say, and so says God the Father. What teach we now the child, unborn, innocent, till taught different? That other faiths are ours to scorn? Are we now God's equivalent? Or do we teach in word and deed based on the faiths we chose, that all are children of one seed, whatever cloth their clothes? So when I come shouting, praise the Lord, and Buddha cries, please do, the world is then on one accord when I show my love for you. Back in a minute.
Before I give you our announcement, I just want to let you know I have a copy of that poem on my desk laminated at work.
Praise God. Thank you. Thank you.
Now I'm going to take advantage to remind our 7th through 12th grade students that you can win a monetary award from our sponsoring organization. Yes, we do say organization on purpose, with purpose. Stutes for Boots. You'll write an essay titled Heroes You Know You Didn't Know Were Heroes. Your content will identify a veteran at your school who can be absolutely anyone. Administrator, teacher, custodian, coach, absolutely anyone. If your essay is chosen and submitted by an adult who gives you permission to read it on this Wave Your Grades program, you will be awarded a monetary prize. Please send, please send entry or inquiry to academicpatriotism@gmail.com. That is academicpatriotism@gmail.com. Now back to our host, Carl Boyd.
And by the way, as I am going through this monologically, if you will, today, please speak up if there's something that you want to say on this particular Black History, Valentine's Day, anything on your mind. That is always important to me.
I think there's always a lot on my mind. Is there anything I want to say right now in this moment? Not really, probably because in this particular moment, I may not know how to say it with the tone that does not depict the gravity with which I feel.
Okay, okay.
So, I'm going to say that this show is a blessing to me. I always love listening to your stories. And just for the record, there is not one story you cannot tell me more than once, twice, or 10 times. I'm always open to and love to hear your stories. They put me in touch with a personal level, the history with which our people have gone through just in recent generations.
Ooh,
you know.
Yes.
So to hear some of the things that you've experienced, to hear you talk about things from your perspective, makes me feel honored to be in the presence of you and given the opportunity to learn. I know it's a lot of times you wish I would say something, but if I'm talking this, I'm not learning. I mean, maybe sometimes I have a lot to say. Sometimes I don't know if I should say things publicly. So, with that said, I don't have anything to add and definitely not take away in this moment. But you do know if I have something that is strong on my heart to say, I will jump in.
Yes, yes, ma'am. One of the things that I would have you to know that you said when you are talking, you're not learning. I need you to know that when you're talking, you are teaching. And that makes a huge, huge difference. And one of the reasons that is important to me is because recently somebody complimented me on a program. And I was saying to them, the compliment goes to the program, not the person. So that if you understand my privilege in those whom I represent, and it's something with which you have agreed more than once, how privileged we are to have authentic guests, that gives me credibility. But here I am in the presence, not the presence, it was a Zoom situation, so Sister Carlotta Neal, I'll get her name again, but she was an actual part of the Little Rock Nine. Can you imagine having the opportunity to speak live to someone who lived that experience in 1957. She was at home in another room when her house was bombed. So here I come along and I say my house was bombed. No, it wasn't my house when they bombed it. I didn't have to go through what she actually went through. They asked me at age 13 in 1955, so Carl, are you going to go back to Harper High School? It's up to you. I decided not to. I was afraid to have to fight every day in a not predominantly an all-white high school until I went there. So it is nice to associate with somebody who did what she did, but she actually did it. So if I look at, once again, I was in Vietnam, for 2.5 weeks. And what was I doing? A Motown review. I was doing Temptations Walk. We were singing songs. And when we got ready to sing or finish singing, we had a military escort when there was incoming at Camp Evans on a fire support hill. Our support officer said, "Sir," talking to me, "please get in the helicopter," because we had to leave from what was coming in. But those whom we had just entertained, they had to stay. Those are the true heroes. So that if I look at Kansas City, Missouri, and having the opportunity in 1987 to be allowed to do a program called Generation Rap on Hot 103 Jams, I was allowed to do the program because Prim Carter was producing and gave me that opportunity. But who wanted me to talk to and about teenagers? Freddie Bell. Right now, if you hear about that history, you don't hear Freddie Bell's name. Freddie Bell was an icon where communications are concerned and where even my history is concerned. So what I'm saying is, it is wonderful to have the opportunity that you and I have when we think just about the few whom we have met on this program. We could not call ourselves, quote, heroes, unquote. And if we were put in the category, it absolutely has to do with the guests. So someone does not see DeQuay Wilson and Carl Boyd coming out of Quick Trip and saying, "Look at those famous people." They simply hold the door and say, "Here you are." So that is what is so important to me. What is more important even than that is that our young people get exposed to those we are privileged to meet, but not just get exposed. Please do something with the learning. Understand from where that comes. When I think about Janae Relaford and reparations, the movement, and her commitment, not only is it important that we help her in her role to succeed, not singularly because of all the people whom she represents, but the imperative is that lesson be taught to young people who are coming along. And again, not just black youth, but these United States of America can be what America has been because of the multicultural, multi-faith efforts among those who had good intentions rather than who wanted to take advantage of a people or some people. I remember when Reverend Emmanuel Cleaver said that the Native Americans needed a better immigration policy. And I think that I would be inclined to agree with Reverend Emmanuel Cleaver. And here we are this many decades later making. And so when I talk about some of those people we have met, Kenneth Ford graduated from Central High School in 1971 with Wanda. That was their class. And he is a member of the Creek tribe, Native Americans. When I think about Hanif Khalil, Imam, and when we were visiting, for instance, prisons in what might be referred to as a prison ministry, but he's Muslim and I am Christian. And when we would talk to the inmates, some would be in one circle praying a Muslim prayer and another with me praying a Christian prayer. But much of my credibility rested upon his ability to communicate with those who were there. And so it is, believe me, no hero, but proud, proud, proud to know some, to interview some, to look forward to more of that. And when I think about, you might be able to help me with this, I won't remember everything. And if Brother Lewis George Walker does, in fact, come back in to talk about how to gain access to the program and all, we have made a commitment, Board of Directors of Students for Boots, conversations that we have had, to attempt in 2026 in a more dynamic way to get our young people exposed to those who indeed come our way through this particular venue. So, proud, proud, proud. And as I think about those opportunities, by the way, our phone number is 816-599-6893, 816-599-6893, in case there are indeed contributions that some want to make. But I cannot wait to get more of the celebration from J.R. Bruce and others in our history, and also cannot wait to celebrate with other veterans in a way that goes directly to our schools. So, here again, having the, I guess opportunity is the best way to say it, to communicate on this level, on this station, on this day. Once again, I think about how we can come together as a people. Channel 4, WDAF-TV, was actually kind enough to allow me to recite a poem about coming together after the 2024 Super Bowl. And unfortunately, there was an incident, and someone lost his life. Some two lost their lives. And when I know some great poets, and if you introduced to me, or if somebody asked me to introduce myself, I would not introduce myself as a poet. And that's interesting because what they allowed me to do was a poem. But it was my reaction to what was going on. And I said at the beginning of the program that one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that I could associate what we are doing and attempting to do with today's program and with veterans, active duty troops, and with students. And by the way, with educators as well. Let us not forget that we are depending upon serious, excellent educators to lead our students into the future, but did not know whether or not this program would allow me today, because we have some very special guests who will be coming up, and I just jotted down some ideas. Would like to just offer the words that I wrote after that Super Bowl, because what I'm attempting to do today, this is February 14th, 2026. Happy Valentine's Day. It is still Wave Your Grades, talking about military personnel, and excellent students. But this was another effort to see if there are ways that even out of tragedy we could come together. So if you will allow me, forgive me the license, but I called it From the Super Bowl to One Super Soul. And what I wrote when that occurred is from the Super Bowl to one super soul of a nation united by grief. Even championship dreams of classy sports teams awakened one quest for relief. From the Super Bowl to one super soul that brought all of our teams together. When tragedy struck, the whole league stepped up, determined to make all of us better. Our celebration became devastation. An innocent victim deceased. The more we heard the discouraging words, the more unity increased. Please remember the name Lisa Lopez Galvin, who lived to make all of us smile. The least I can do is take a step or two for us. Lisa walked many miles. From the Super Bowl to that super soul who blessed those of us who yet live, is sharing the truth with vulnerable youth asking too much to give? Well, the truth is, we need you. I know I don't feed you the love and support that I should. By myself, I can't fix me, but joining 360 unites all of our common good. From the Super Bowl to our super soul, the way that we teach children peace is to show sports opponents in the after-game moment shaking hands after one team's defeat. Thank you, KC Chiefs. Celebration too brief for your inclusive, united imprint, molding the majestic multicultural mosaic that makes America magnificent. From the Super Bowl to our super soul. From the Super Bowl to one super soul. From the Super Bowl to our super soul, praise God, whose peace is our goal. And when I think about having the opportunity to observe from the standpoint of how can we use moments that pass by as a unifying force, had no idea that then they would take me to Union Station and have me read that and put it on. But the point is, what if we might, what if we could, what if we did seize whatever moments are before us to use it as a unifying factor? You talk about heroes. We need, as often as possible, to find venues where we could read Dr. King's words to young people. Just think of any one thing that he said, and we have those who don't want to report our history today because it might be embarrassing to a particular culture, and here you have the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Any opportunity I get to help young people to understand that he was working towards a peace not for one people, not for one person himself, but indeed to bring a nation, a world together. Here he was making statements for the janitors' strike in Memphis, Tennessee. He's a hero. He's a great man. He's well known. And yet he humbled himself enough so that he would be a part of that particular gathering, that particular moment, but more important, that particular statement. I don't know if it would be all right, Brother Louis George Walker, to offer your information to those who might be listening, watching. But, Brother Walker, it is impossible to thank you enough for the opportunities that we get, but not only that, for the teaching that you do beyond just the station. So if you would do something for me, I would appreciate it. DeQuay and I always ask that you inform how to gain access to the program and to the station, etc. But there are some things in which you are engaged for parents who might want to get their young people involved. If there could be some contact information for the type of things that you do, please take your time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I'm going. Yeah, I'm going out. Good evening, good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for joining, for listening. This is KUAW Radio. KUAW stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, which is a product of the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association of Kansas City. We come together and we form this radio station to give out community information, news, and to play some music. So tune in to KUAW in a lot of different ways. Now, if you want to watch this broadcast every week, be sure and go to Facebook or YouTube, put in KUAW Radio. We're on Twitter and Twitch also. And if you want to listen to us on audio only, we're on the internet on KUAW.org. That's our website, and it has a button on there you can press to hear all the broadcasts that are going out. You can also listen to us on mytuner.com, the online radio box. You can listen to us on Radio Garden. Also pick us up on Get Me Radio. So any of those. So if you go to the internet and put in KUAW Radio, about 4 or 5 different locations that carry us are on there, and you can listen to us night and day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also have programs that we're running here right now. We're doing robotics. We have a Lego robotics team and a Vex robotics team that we work with young people from 9 years old to 18.
My God.
Learning about robots, learning about programming. They're also introducing AI into the robots. That's as the program evolves. Now they're learning how to do AI. I've got to learn some of that myself.
Yes, sir.
We're also doing a drone program. So we have drones that they'll be able to fly, and that program starts this spring. We'll be doing some drone lessons. And a bonus this year, I have one of our instructors that knows that a lot of people have questions about AI, and we're going to do an AI course workshop for adults.
Wow.
This will be an adult class. So get in touch with KUAW. You can go to our website, and there's a page where you can enroll. If you looked at, if you want to be a volunteer or if you want to take one of our classes, there's an enrollment page for the adult classes and for the robotics classes. You can fill that out. We'll get an email that you filled it out. We'll contact you to let you know when there are openings in the class. We're also going to be working with some of the other organizations in the city that work with youth, because we have an opportunity with the University of Central Missouri to have students in a camp. This will be for middle and high school students, and we're setting that camp up to be sometime in June. We're actually working with them now. The program has been funded, so we're just trying to set up the weeks, and we'll be giving you some more information about a camp that'll be about drones and AI. So there'll be a 1-week camp for young people that they can attend, and it'll be to work with drones and to work with AI. So stay tuned, continue to listen to KUAW Radio, or be sure and check out our Facebook page or our YouTube page for more information, as things are constantly changing and evolving. Also, we're going to be showing up at some of the schools around. Tomahawk Elementary is one. We've had a couple that want us to come to their PTA STEM nights. So Black Family Technology Awareness Association shows up at those things and demonstrate to kids about robotics and the careers they can have in robotics or AI. And we're always trying to work with the community so that they can learn more. We also want to work with churches. We can do demonstrations at a church if you have young people or even adults that want to learn AI. Get in touch with us. We can see about how we can put together a class or a workshop that will help you learn some things that can help you with your job, and around the house or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Because these robots pretty soon may be in your house, and you'll be able to tell the robot to clean that up. And so we're working with a lot of different things with the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, and we hope that you will continue to listen to this show and other shows and podcasts that come from KUAW Radio throughout the week, throughout the year. Check us out if you want to listen to some blues and some old school music. We've got that.
There you
On
go.
Sunday morning, check us out. We have good gospel music. So there's a lot of different shows and things that are going on KUAW Radio 24 hours a day. So not just what you see on Facebook and on YouTube now, but we're always broadcasting and bringing more information. So stay with us, stay tuned, and get involved. We're also looking for volunteers. Let me put that out there. If you would like to volunteer, if you know a young person, somebody that's maybe just out of college or a young engineer, young adults, if they would like to help with our robotics team, that would be great. We need to get some more volunteers in here to help. There's always a lot of children that want to learn, but we can't teach if we don't have the resource or the people that we need to work with all these kids. So if you know any young people, or if you yourself would like to come in and volunteer to help, and you don't have to have any special knowledge. We can show you everything that you need to know. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or engineer yourself and stuff. We've had people that just come in and pick up a few things and just to be there with the young people. Because if you have an instructor, sometimes just to have a couple other room monitors there helps everybody kind of be able to get the best out of a class. So join us, Black Family Technology Awareness Association and KUAW Radio. Like us on Facebook and on YouTube. Hit us up on Twitter and Twitch. We're just glad to be of service to the city of Kansas City. And thank you so very much for listening to Carl Boy and Wave Your Grades.
And you said like you on Facebook and YouTube. I like you right here on Wave Your Grades. And DeQuay, let me tell you what really bothers me, what really frustrates me, and I don't call myself getting angry much, but if you listen to Louis George Walker and those with whom he works and the way he works with them, there are many people who deal with black young people with a cultural deficit model. What's wrong with them? How can we baby them along? What can we do to help them feel a little better? And this gentleman is talking about technology at the highest levels. He talked about volunteers. He talked about getting young people. He did not say that the single criterion for your involvement is that you have a 4.0. He did not say that your income has to be at a certain level. If you are interested, if you have a passion for it, contact Black Family Technology Awareness Association because, man, what you're doing is just outstanding, DeQuay, and I just appreciate it more than you will ever know. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Wow, that's fantastic. I'm sorry. Let me turn it over to our producer, engineer, announcer, and co-host, DeQuay Wilson.
Well, I would like to thank you all for joining us on your Stoots for Boots Wave Your Grades program. We come to you live every Saturday from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now, Carl will close with his daily message for students in honor of our veterans from his book, Morning Messages.
Thank you so very, very much, DeQuay Wilson. Thank you, Louis George Walker, over and over and over again. Again, happy Valentine's Day as we continue in our Black History Month. To students across the USA, your Stoots for Boots message for this day, February 14th. We pledge with our hands placed over our hearts. They pledge to place our hearts in their hands. This is Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org. DeQuay Wilson, thank you. Louis George Walker, thank you. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on my